Are you a solopreneur looking to 2 times your revenue to fund your lifestyle and give back? Well, this podcast is for you. We bring you inspirational guests sharing actionable tips to solve many of the struggles you face each and every day. And now over to your host, Paul Higgins.
Hello to the Build, Live, Give podcast. If you're a first-time listener, welcome. And if you enjoy it, please subscribe. If you're a regular, thanks for your support. Love to get your feedback at paul@buildlivegive.com. I do mention this all the time, and it does make the absolute world to me when you do. Our guest is someone who started in real estate at a young age and did higher education to be at the top of her game. She had her son and decided corporate life was not going to support her lifestyle and started as a consultant for business systems. She has evolved her business name and also model and is now one of the most successful experts and podcasters on the topic of productivity for small business. So why listen? How to reduce stress, increase revenue, and spend time on what you love. The importance of profitability and how to align priorities to it, and the traits to look for when building a team to allow you to let go. They've also kindly given a link to a course to help you take back time. So over now to Amber de la Garza from productivityspecialist.com. And a big apology to Amanda. There you go. I did it again. A big apology to Amber because I did mention her as Amber a couple of times in this interview. My bad. And once again, apologies. Welcome, Amber de la Garza from the productivityspecialist.com to the Build, Live, Give podcast. I nearly mentioned your other podcast there, Amber, but great to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so look, I've been listening to your podcast. I'm a regular listener. I know, you give some brilliant value on productivity, and we can't wait to get a slightly different spin on it with the podcast today. But why don't we just kick off with something that your family or friends may know about you that we don't?
Such a good question. Like the most random fact I'm thinking is that I was my high school mascot. I was a wildcat.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know what was in me that did that, but I was our high school mascot.
So was it a gym, what's the right word?
Like football games.
Yeah, but were you, doing flips and somersaults?
Yes, the totally not cool. I wasn't the cheerleader. I wasn't the dancer. I was the mascot.
Well, I'm sure listening to you on your podcast, you would have given it 100%. And where was that? What was the college?
Yeah, so we were Wildcats, and it was in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Excellent. And I know you still reside there, but is that where you grew up?
It is, born and raised.
Yes, unfortunately, I was due to be there in the end of March 2020, but with COVID, we had to put a stop to that. But I was looking forward to my first visit there. I've got some family and some friends there. But,
oh, you do? Oh, yeah. Well, we'll welcome you as soon as things normalize to have you come down.
And look, I must admit, gambling's probably not my thing, but I love fast cars. So I was really looking forward to driving some cars on the circuit there. Have you ever done that?
I have not. Yes, we have our Speedway, and they have the most amazing cars, like dream cars that you can pay to drive down there.
Yeah. Well,
and by the way, I've lived here my entire life, and I do not gamble either. So there's plenty to do here outside of gambling.
Correct. Yeah. Well, it was going to be cars and golf for me, and leave the gambling for others. But it's as you mentioned, plenty of people do. It's just not for us by the sounds of it. And, I know you started as a realtor. Is that correct?
I did. I actually started in real estate back in my junior and senior year of high school interning. And then when I graduated, I went to college and got a degree in real estate and business management. And during that time, also got licensed. I actually just renewed 20 years, although I have not been practicing for over a decade.
And what drew you to that industry?
To be completely honest, I was drawn for all the wrong reasons. I thought they just showed pretty houses and drove nice cars and took their clients to lunch. And fast forward, I know that it is quite the business because now I serve those in that industry. And but when I was younger, I was just like, oh, that seems like such a cool career. And I kind of followed that.
Yeah, and what and in Australia we have a mix of auctions and private sales. How does it work in the US, or is it different by state, or how does it generally work for selling your house?
It is different a little bit. So usually you can use a realtor, but determining on location, you either use escrow or attorneys. And so that is different from state to state.
Mm. Okay. And why the shift? What made you leave the industry and start your own business?
Yeah, the major shift, life shift, was that I had my son 10 years ago. And once I had him and I took all my maternity leave, my vacation, at that time I was working for corporate in management at a largest real estate company here in Las Vegas. And I took all my time and I thought, oh, there's no way I'm going back. So I resigned, but in the same breath, I thought, oh my goodness, I want to start a business. And that was the seed of what could be next in my life after having my son.
Great. And what was the first thing you did? Because I know for a lot of people, certainly for me, it took me, I'd say 5 years, but that's probably conservative, to finally work out what I wanted to do to leave. What about for you? Was there something instantaneous that you knew you wanted to do, or was it a slow build?
That's such a great question. I look back at the evolution of my business. When I first started, I would work on location at my clients' offices, helping them with business systems and organization. And when I first started, I was called an organizational consultant. And it got some legs, but for whatever reason, it's kind of a blur now. At some point early on, I changed to efficiency consultant. And as soon as I changed my title, although not my services, my business exploded. It was what I believe to be the difference of organization being seen as a luxury and efficiency being seen as a necessity in businesses. And then I did that for a while. And then I actually transitioned into the productivity specialist about 5 years ago. And that was just a natural evolution of realizing that our personal habits, our behaviors, our personal productivity as business owners, that was long-term change needed, not just have someone come in and help you with systems or processes.
Great. And who sort of supported you through this journey of, all of that evolution in your own business?
Oh my goodness. My husband is my number one fan. He's been my number one supporter. Just cheerleader, supporter, always believed in me, but also joint sacrifice of what it would take to leave my, income, my career. He saw the dream for me, and just always supported my dream of what I could make possible through my business and helping others.
Excellent. And have you had any mentors, been in any masterminds? Has there been other support from a business perspective?
Yeah, I'm actually a huge believer that small business owners should never go it alone. And so I'm always evolving and, changing up who I lean on depending on what my needs are at that, level of my business and what challenges I'm facing. But at any given time, I have a circle of peers that are business owner friends that I lean on. I generally always have a coach. And so those are those people that I always surround myself in to help me grow and push and let me see things differently as I navigate this journey.
Great. And as you said, it's dependent upon the need of the business. But how do you go about picking a coach? Like for your current coach, what was your thought process? Because I know for a lot of people listening now, they are doing it solo, and I think it is critical to have support. How did you go about picking that right person?
Yeah, that is such a great question. I am probably more, I don't know what the word is, stringent. I am really kind of ruthless with finding my coaches. I guess that's the best way to say, like, I want to see that they're doing the thing that they're coaching on, that it's not just the thing that they coach on, but they're living it out in their business. For me, I ask a lot of questions and I want to see that they have case studies from other clients, and really in alignment with the area and the business that I'm specifically working on during that phase of my business. So a couple years ago, I had a sales coach, and my sales coach was exclusively supporting me in building my skill set on relational selling. Right now, my coach specializes in online and, courses and programs and things like that. And that's her niche. So I'm always looking for someone that is really, really good at their niche and also lives that out in their business.
Great. And just on online courses, I must admit I haven't had a look, but have you launched some? Are you looking to launch some? What phase are you in with online courses?
Yeah, so I've done some group coaching programs, group training programs. I am in the middle of evergreening a program that I launched in kind of beta version a few months ago, actually pre-COVID. And now I taught that live, and now I'm pre-recording it and setting up the sales funnel to sell that evergreen on demand. And then I have a masterclass that I am utilizing right now to serve people in a way that's like a tiny offer, just getting them in the door, a piece of what they can get from me that will then lead them into this bigger kind of program offering that will be ready soon.
Great. And if you had to give a couple of tips on online courses, what have been your biggest learnings from your coach so far?
Oh my gosh, to have a clear strategy. I didn't understand prior to working with my coach, like the buying cycle. So like with my sales coach, I learned the buying psychology of when you talk to people and you build relationships. And with my coach now, it's like understanding that whole buyer life cycle and how can you create offerings that meet them where they're at and they learn something. And it's like, what's the next logical offer to stair step them up? And the next logical. I've been in business for 8 years, and up until recently, with a few times I've done group offerings, my entire business has been one-on-one coaching. And so for me, it was really, honestly, I drug my feet on it because I can charge such a good price for my one-on-one coaching. I'm like, why in the world would I ever create a $27 offer or $200 offer? Or name the price. I was like, that just doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. And so my coach has really been able to teach me on how to leverage each person by serving them incrementally up the ladder.
Great. And some of those conversion rates. So let's say you have someone in at, ballpark, say a $200 offer. What's the sort of percentage that you're looking to convert to the next step out of the people that buy that $200 offer?
Yeah. So, my first level starts at $27 as like a tripwire tiny offer. That conversion that we're looking at for cold traffic is 10%. From there, we're looking at the next offering being 200, between 5 to 8% of those people that come in. And so this is all leverageable from building my audience and, who I serve through cold audiences of advertisements. So we're still playing with these numbers and still working out all the kinks, but I'm really looking at replicating the conversion rates that I can get when I already have a warm audience or someone that already knows me. I will say from podcaster to podcaster that what I have found that works is warming them up and actually sending them to the podcast before selling them into the next offering. We tried it straight through, but what has always worked for me is people getting to know me and like how I can help them and what I stand for. And so when we weren't seeing those conversion numbers, the next strategy was, well, all right, let's just send them to the podcast and build up that listenership and that relationship and then resell them to them up further.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Sometimes our greatest assets, we just don't do enough to support them.
I've been podcasting for 3 years, but it's all an experiment. And that's actually if I could take that back, the one thing that I have learned that has been the biggest impact, most impactful, is to look at all of this as an experiment and not being attached to it not working or when conversion rates don't come in, or that all of it is an experiment of, do these emails work? Does that next logical offer make sense? And then if it doesn't, looking at it objectively to then say what can change to improve those numbers.
Great. Well, look, we're going to move into the build section, and you can find out more about Amber at productivityspecialist.com, and we'll have all the links in the show notes. But when someone comes up to you and says, Amber, how do you help me? What would you do for me? How do you answer that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I specifically help small business owners decrease their stress and increase revenue. And then also while still having time for what matters most. And essentially I'm coaching them for that, their perfect unbalanced life. I don't think there's perfect 50-50 or, where our time goes, but everyone has an idea of, I wish I was home for dinner X amount of times a week. I wish I had a hobby. And also aggressively growing my business. And so I teach them strategies on how to manage their time and leverage their team, leverage business systems so that they can maximize where their time and energy is going.
Excellent. And what do you know about productivity that many others may miss?
Yeah, well, I think I can best answer that with my own personal definition of productivity. I think productivity is a buzzword. And if we asked each listener listening now, everyone would have a different answer yes. of what that means. And, for me and all the work that I've done over the years, I've really come down to a framework, and it's you are your most productive self when you're investing your best time into your best activities. And your best time is when you show up your best, when you're focused, when you're doing your best work. And those best activities are the ones that will propel you towards your goals. Not all activities and tasks are created equal. So when I really work with a business owner, it's about setting priorities and getting really, really clear about where is the best use of their time in their business.
Yeah, and I know for many of us, for me leaving corporate, the priorities were set. You had your own, but they were set by the company, and it was a lot easier to follow that. And there was a lot more structure. Whereas being your own business owner, there's lots of opportunities, lots of shiny objects, etc. Tell us a little bit about how you help people set priorities, because I know for many people probably listening now, that's something that they would like to improve on.
Absolutely. And you're so right. I mean, we can be great executors if someone else is creating the goals and the milestones and that clarity path. And that can be a big shift when we're now responsible for that. And the best answer I can give for a business owner that would be listening is that ultimately, when you're setting priorities, your business has one main goal, and that's profitability. Now, you may have milestones that's finish this project, update this website, work with X amount of clients, but all of it is in service of being profitable. And profitable in the best ways, because you will be out of business if you are not profitable. You won't be able to serve as many clients and make as big of an impact. You won't be able to give to your communities or, charities that you believe in if your business isn't profitable. So when things can get so overwhelming and everything seems important, one main question you can ask yourself is what's the closest path to revenue, while also obviously supporting your clients the best way you can. And that will help you kind of determine what's a shiny object. What are things that you may be doing for ego versus will it really serve the business?
Yeah, and you talked about small business owners. Is there any particular, industry? I know you mentioned real estate before, but you just tell us a little bit more about how you've been able to define your ideal client and who that is.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I was talking to someone earlier today, and every coach and mentor that I have ever had has been adamant that I needed to niche down into a specific industry. And real estate is the obvious because of all my background and history and relationships. And while my business grew and got its legs in the real estate industry, I've led with my heart and my passion, which is small business owners, specifically those that are the business, which means they're service-based business owners. So think interior designers, attorneys that own law firms. You've got, I even work with farmers, organic farmers in South Florida, like their unique skill set is farming. And that has been where I have decided to take my business is small business owners where they're service-based.
Yeah, look, and, I suppose for me, it's a similar thing with coaches and consultants. So I've narrowed down and niched down a little further, but it's a similar thing. It's service-based people where they've got so much potential, but often they can't get out. They're the biggest barrier to their own success. They can't get out of their own way. And what are some of the practical things you've done to help people get out of their own way?
Absolutely. Well, my podcast is Productivity Straight Talk. And so it's definitely straight talk with a dose of love and compassion. And I think that many small business owners, they start believing their own stories and their own head so much. And oftentimes working with a coach that says, is that serving you? Like, are you going to let that belief or that thought or that fear hold you back from taking action? So a lot of it is doing, like you said, getting them out of their own way through mindset work and talking them through what's possible. One of the things that I would say I specialize in is I am really, really good at holding space and holding my clients' vision of success and like their goals for them, which means, look, from day to day, if they have a horrible day, they may lose sight of like the bigger plan and the bigger goal. And so I come alongside them to remind them, like, why are they doing this? Like, why are they getting up when it's hard? Why are they pushing through when they're challenged? And just gently remind them of like what it is that they're out to create in the world.
And, just a little bit of a change in tact, your own business. Now, what are some of the challenges in growing your own business?
Yeah. My business, like every other small business, has the same challenges. And some of the ones that I have experienced is audience growth. And what I mean by that is like the podcast does really well, but like getting social media traction, like social media is not my jam particularly. And the frustration with wanting to grow it and what's the newest strategy and all of that. So definitely I would say that's like my Achilles heel. And then also it's good and it's bad. So I just want to be careful about this is hiring staff and employees. Like I have the most amazing team, but to get there, I've had to go through a lot of challenges of people that interview wonderfully or start out great. And who knows what happens. It's like a flip that gets switched. And so like every business owner that is looking to grow and leverage through others, it's just navigating those experiences to find those people that truly, truly are best to support your business.
Yeah. And what are some of the key traits that you look for when hiring people?
Oh, so got a question because I often prioritize character traits over skill set. I'm quite patient and I will teach and train any day to have the right person with the right character trait. So really what I look for is their attitude of like, I can figure it out or I can learn it. I often ask questions around what was the last thing you didn't know and how did you learn it? Like, can they Google search it? Are they resourceful or do they have the mindset of like, I don't know it, so I'm not going to do it? Are they looking at being proactive versus reactive? So that means this is a really big one because as a business owner looking to find leverage, your team can only grow as much as you can give them if you have a reactive team. If your team is proactive and looking at how can they help you and coming to the table in that way, it's not just solely on your mental bandwidth to figure out how to keep everyone moving forward.
Excellent. And I know you've spoken about your coach, I should say, for the current business growth. So, and you've outlined how you're going from a one-to-one to a more of a group and online. For you and COVID, how much is your business been impacted because of what's happened with people working from home more?
Yeah. So this is like the real reality is we went into lockdown, like I would say like, let's call it March 12th. That was like a Friday. That Monday, I was supposed to go into 3 back-to-back launches over the next 2.5 months. Products were created, websites were done, funnels were done. I was literally flipping the switch to turn on for all my automation. And I had made the decision, obviously, not to do that. My team and I, my coach, like we all put so much work into it. And I was like, there's no way. Like, I'm not going to greenlight this in the middle of what was going on. And so for me, I was very lucky in that I was able to lean on my one-on-one work that I had not switched out of. I did not, decreased. I had not done anything. And I just stayed the course serving my one-on-one clients. And I'm eager to flip that switch. And since then, while we didn't flip the switch on the promotions, we brought forward some other big projects in the business, which is like a whole website overhaul, SEO, more content, different content that will serve us, the business, once the switch gets flipped back to these programs and courses.
Yeah, and I think that's really smart to, continue to invest. Unfortunately, I see a lot of people cutting their marketing and their long-term investment. And you talked about profitability before, and profitability really funds 3 things. It funds your marketing, it funds your investment in your business, and it funds your lifestyle. And I think it's a time now to double down. So well done for doing that. Now, I know you mentioned, sorry, you go.
Oh, I was saying I agree. I mean, so just for clarity, it's like while we didn't promote to sell, we did switch gears and we went into ads and we definitely doubled down on our marketing budget. And I knew that would pay forward is building relationships now so that when it was, a place where I wanted to, take them to that next level, I hadn't dried up all of that. Like I hadn't stopped. I didn't stop marketing or showing up. In fact, right before this interview, I was talking to my husband and I was like, I've done 22 interviews in the last 5 months. Like I didn't stop showing up so that that becomes assets in the business moving forward when things normalize.
Yeah, and look, you've been podcasting for 3 years. As I said, I'm a regular listener. Just give us a bit of an insight into some of the key things you've learned as a podcaster and some tips for people that are either, looking to start a podcast or, a couple of years in, but just don't have the experience that you've got.
Yes. Oh, my favorite tip to give is start before you think you're ready. I am a preparer and I like to learn, and I consumed podcasts and I had planned out what it was going to be and all of that. And nothing can prepare you more than just doing it and getting better at it. Like I wish somebody would have told me that interviewing was like a skill set. If y'all listen to some early interviews, you would think I was a robot or a train wreck. I would ask the question and not even listen to the answer. And then I'd be on to the next question. And, over the years, I've really focused on improving the skill set of having conversations and interviewing and, showing up authentically. And all of that couldn't have happened reading a book, taking a course, or practicing other than doing it for real.
Yeah, look, exactly the same. I'm actually too scared to go back and listen to my podcast. I think this episode is going to be 212, but yes, it was like anything, isn't it? The first time you do it, you have all those fears in front of you. You think everyone's judging you, all of that, that little voice in your head. But I'm with you. You just got to do it and keep doing it. It's a bit like video as well. I think, I'm going through a similar journey with video at the moment, and you get better as you do it. So great advice. Now, just the last question on this section of build is social media. So you said, growing your audience is really important for you. It's a key challenge. Which social media platforms are you doubling down on at the moment, and what are some of the things that you're looking to solve?
Yeah. So, doubling down has been Instagram for me. Mm-hmm. I am on Facebook and I am on LinkedIn. Earlier, maybe almost, I can't even believe, maybe it was almost a year ago, I closed my Facebook group and decided that was not a place that I wanted to show up in that way. It took a lot of energy and time, and I was not getting a return on that, like business growth wise. So when I cut back on that, I doubled down on Instagram and showing up in Instagram stories and really playing with experimenting with the content to see what lands, that type of stuff.
Great. And once again, what are some key learnings that you've, through your experience, can share?
That everyone likes the unedited stuff. Like hands down, the data keeps showing, like we push out, we publish our episodes and we have, quotes and things like that are valuable. It's really important to me that at least brings value. But every time I post anything personal or tell a story or pull back the curtains, that's what people want.
Excellent. Well, look, we'll have all the links to all of Amber's socials, including her Instagram, in the show notes. So before we go into the live section, I'd like to help you find and convert your ideal clients on LinkedIn. So I've doubled down on LinkedIn, whereas I know Amber is doubling down on Instagram. So if you go to blgclick.com and you can watch a pre-recorded free masterclass and you'll learn 3 key steps. So one is the formula to 10 times your views. I know that sounds like, everyone's, prophesizing that at the moment. We definitely have a way of doing that. Step 2 is the 7 killer elements to get 50 likes and 20 comments on every post. Because I know from personal experience when I first started, just how annoying it is when you put out brilliant content and there's crickets. And the third one is the secrets to get 80% response rates to your LinkedIn messages. And as Amber said before, she got a coach to help with relationships and sales. And we really show you some brilliant ways to do that on LinkedIn, because there are some nuances to what you would normally do through email and phone calls. So just go to blgclick.com. And also, if, a lot of the activities that are there, don't have to be done by you. And I suppose that's very much like what Amber teaches, is around, using your time and productivity. So we've also got some options there for you to have a virtual assistant to support you. So just go to buildlivegive.com/VA. So the next section's the live section. So what are some of the daily habits that help you be successful, Amanda?
Yeah, absolutely. So my first daily habit that's a no-go if I don't do it is my own morning routine. I am a runner, not runner, specifically running, meaning I am, very full. I fill my day with all the things I love in my business. And I've got a son and I'm a wife and a mom and all of those responsibilities. And so the thing that keeps me most grounded and prepared for the day is my morning routine.
Excellent. And what are some of those things? What do you
Coffee
do?
First. Coffee first. I love coffee. And would you know it? Maybe that's something nobody knew about me, is I think I started drinking coffee 4 years ago. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. And then now I love it. So coffee is part of my morning. Right now, the weather's really nice where I'm at. So I'll sit out on the patio. This is my quiet time. It's my reading time. I work out or I stretch. Honestly, I have a framework of things that I do, but I trust my gut. I'm like, what is it that I need to do today? What feels good? Am I going to journal today? Am I going to read today? And so less structure. And that's because that balances out my life, because you'll find structure in just about every other place in my life. And so for me, I just need that what feels best morning time. And my morning routine is at 3 hours. So it's a long morning routine of getting up and doing a slow morning. And then as soon as the switch flips, I am in go mode for the rest of the day, being all the different hats of wife, mom, business owner, coach, you name it.
And what time does the morning routine start for you?
4:45 in the morning.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And here I was complaining about getting up at 5:30 this morning. So is that something that you just, was it like a flick of a switch? That's what I'm going to get up? Or once again, did you build to 4:45?
Oh, I absolutely build to it. And if anyone would ask, I'd tell you I'm not a morning person. In fact, I'm not a morning person naturally. And that's why I need such a long morning routine. But what serves me is starting before the world wakes up in a very slower pace. And to do that, I do need to wake up earlier. And the other thing is because I go and I'm just so active and really I don't know, living life, I'm exhausted by the end of the day. And so instead of trying to stay up and just like drag out the night into things that may not be most productive or fueling to me, I wrap it up and I go to sleep. I get a good night's sleep and I start again in the next morning.
Brilliant. And, we mentioned your partner, Joe, before around the fact that he has been, your biggest supporter. He's listening right now. What would you like to say to him about the support he's given you?
Oh my gosh, I don't have enough thank yous. When I had this idea of like what I wanted to do, I swear he saw it for me before I saw it for myself. Now I certainly see today, I definitely see it for myself and where I'm going. But when I first started, I needed that type of support that was like unconditional and saw so much bigger than I could see. He is literally the person that is cheering me on for small wins or big wins. He's the one that picks me up on hard days or, defeats or things that are just really, really hard. He's always there to hear. And quite honestly, he tells everybody about me or the podcast, but I'm not quite sure he actually knows what I do for my clients. Like, he's so supportive, but like in the nitty gritty of what I do, I don't think he knows, but he doesn't care. He's just here to support me.
Excellent. He might have to shadow you one day to learn a little bit about it. But well done, Joe. An awesome effort. So the next section is the give section. What's a community or a charity that you support and are passionate about, and why?
Yeah, absolutely. So the charity that I love to support is called the Cupcake Girls. They are national, but they started here in Las Vegas, and they support women and those family members of women that have been sex trafficked. And I say family members because many of them have children. And it helps support them with holistic care, with everything from financial support to a roof over their head to emotional support, just running the gamut of anything that someone that has been sex trafficked needs.
Yeah, I had someone on. I'll put the link in the show notes around which episode, but just the volume, it just absolutely made me feel sick, to be honest. Just the volume of sex trafficking around the world is, it's terrible. So well done for supporting the Cupcake Girls. And for me, I support a charity called the Purple House, and the Purple House provides essential dialysis support for Indigenous Australians. So you can find out more at just thepurplehouse.org.au. So the last section's the rapid fire questions, and I can't wait especially for the answer to this first question. But for if you can just give those rapid fire responses. So The first one, I'm going to change it, right? Because I normally say effectiveness tips, but just for you, I'm going to change it to productivity tips. So what are your top 3 personal productivity tips?
Yes. Number 1, plan your day. Number 2, don't negotiate with yourself after you've planned the day. And number 3 is to identify, communicate, and hold boundaries with everyone around you, family and your employees.
Simple, but incredibly powerful. So the next one is, what technology is essential to running your business?
Zoom. And that was long before everyone was on Zoom for COVID-19. I literally, when the world went to Zoom, I'm like, don't break Zoom. I literally serve all my clients on Zoom.
Yeah, look, I can't remember, but yeah, I think I started within 3 months of Zoom coming up. Skype, coming from corporate, I'm not in love with Microsoft, I got to say. So any reason to get off Microsoft, I did. But Skype I found incredibly spammy. Zoom's brilliant, and like you said, it's had a couple of little glitches. But what an awesome tool. So for you, I know you've got your own podcast, but what are some of the best sources for you for new ideas?
Yeah. So I actually like listening to podcasts. When I'm in idea creation, I will listen to podcasts on different topics. So one thing that I never do is consume other people's content within my industry. So it's been many, many, many years since I've read a book or listened to anything on productivity. And that's just to keep my voice pure and like what I believe. And then using my clients and the people that interact with me on social media as a source of inspiration versus other people's content. And so when I'm on podcasts now, I like to listen to things that have nothing to do with business or especially nothing to do with productivity and kind of seeing how I can use that as inspiration.
Well, the last question is the big one. I always leave it to the end for that reason. So what impact do you want to leave on the world?
My gosh. Passion is small business owners. I have seen so many business owners struggle and pay a price too heavy, like divorce or their health or just so much imbalance in their lives. And so the impact I want to make is to show what's possible of living out your dreams, running after your goals, and also having that balance personally in your life.
Brilliant. Well, look, I've thoroughly enjoyed your podcast, but I've thoroughly enjoyed having you on our podcast. And like I said at the start, just, customizing for our audience, which has been brilliant. So you can find out more, obviously, about Amber at theproductivityspecialist.com. She's also got the podcast, theproductivitystraighttalk.com. And also she's given us a fantastic online course. So you can go to Amber, and I'll spell it in sections. So it's Amber, and then it's DELAGARZA. Now, this is in the show notes, but I know for some of you might be, just where you can write it down. So it's that.com, and then it's /take back your time, and you'll get a huge amount of benefit from that. So Amanda, thanks for joining us from the lovely, warm Las Vegas, and it was brilliant having you on the Build, Live, Give podcast today.
Thank you for having me, Paul.
Brilliant. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I really got a lot of great value out of that interview with Amber, and I hope you did too. You can go and get all the links in the show notes, buildlivegive.com. What is your biggest takeaway from Amber? Please share it on your socials, mentioning her, and also check out her great content on her Instagram account, which will be in the show notes. If you believe someone you know would benefit from this show, also please share it with them. You can learn the 3 secrets to building your authority and finding and converting your ideal clients in our free pre-recorded masterclass at blgclick.com. Please take action to build your business and lifestyle, and most importantly, stay well.
Thank you for listening to the Build, Live, Give podcast. If you like what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review. It would mean the world to us.